Hello everyone, the HeckyFish channel is very happy to see you again. Non-stick pots and pans are familiar tools in modern kitchens, convenient items that help keep your fried eggs from turning into scrambled eggs, or your tofu and fish from becoming a mushy mess, and yet now, they're facing accusations of causing cancer, especially from some stainless steel pan sellers. In this video, we'll take an objective look at non-stick cookware, why it works, and whether or not it really causes cancer. First, non-stick pans or pots are coated with materials that prevent food from sticking. There are many types of non-stick materials, but the most popular one is Teflon. There's also ceramic, titanium, or combinations like titanium ceramic or titanium Teflon. However, in this video, we'll focus on Teflon-coated non-stick pans. Teflon is the commercial name for a synthetic chemical called polytrifluorotonylate, or PTFE for short. PTFE was accidentally discovered in 1938 by Roy Plunkett while he was working for the American chemical company DuPont. During an experiment aimed at creating a new CFC refrigerant, chemists noticed that a pressurized gas canister had stopped releasing gas, even though it still felt heavy. Roy and his team cut the canister open and found it coated with a smooth, waxy white material. Analysis showed it was polytrifluorotonylate, created when iron from the can acted as a catalyst under high pressure. DuPont patented this new plastic and trademarked the name Teflon in 1945. By 1948, DuPont was producing over 910 tons of PTFE per year. At the time, Teflon-coated pans didn't exist yet. Instead, Teflon was used to coat valves and seals in oil refinery pipelines involved in the Manhattan Project, the program that developed the world's first atomic bomb. So back then, if you saw a non-stick pan, you'd probably feel like it was part of something military grade, because originally, Teflon was used for serious stuff. By the way, was Teflon originally white? Yes. At room temperature, Teflon is a dull, milky white solid. Depending on its use, it can be dyed different colors: black for pan bottoms, yellow for Teflon tape sealing gas pipes, and blue for oxygen tubes. It wasn't until 1954 that the first Teflon-coated non-stick pan appeared, according to legend. Marc Grégoire, a French aerospace engineer and avid fisherman, was the one who invented it. He loved making his own fiberglass fishing rods using aluminum molds. To prevent the rods from sticking to the mold, Grégoire figured out how to coat the mold with Teflon. His wife challenged him to try the same trick with her aluminum frying pan, and thus, the brand Tefal, now known as Tefal, was born. Anyway, back to the main topic. Does Teflon and non-stick pans in general cause cancer? The short answer is no. And the longer version, here it is. Chemically speaking, Teflon doesn't react with other substances. It has an extremely low coefficient of friction, which means almost nothing sticks to it, not even super glue or jello. Teflon is perfect when you need something slippery, chemically resistant, or waterproof, like non-stick pans, raincoat coatings, industrial bearings, astronaut suits, circuit boards, or even the massive roof of Denver International Airport designed to mimic the Rocky Mountains. The non-stick property of Teflon comes from its molecular structure. PTFE is a polymer, a large molecule made up of repeating smaller units called monomers. In Teflon's case, the monomer is tetrafluoroethylene. A PTFE chain has a carbon backbone, where each carbon atom is bonded to the fluorine atoms, forming strong bonds and a stable structure. The fluorine atoms surrounding the carbon chain create a continuous, uniform shell, like bodyguards protecting a celebrity carbon star from nearly all corrosive substances. In other words, Teflon hardly reacts chemically with the body or any substance. It doesn't dissolve or evaporate under normal cooking temperatures below 160 C. But wait, if Teflon is so slippery, how do they make it stick to pans? Great question. There are two main ways. First, sintering. The pan's surface is roughened, usually by sandblasting or soaking in a caustic chemical like NaO to create tiny pits and grooves. Then, 2 or more layers of Teflon are sprayed onto the surface, filling those grooves like anchors. The pan is then baked at around 400 C, melting the Teflon slightly and fusing it into a continuous coating. Once cooled, the Teflon locks into these grooves. Purely mechanical bonding. Second method, making Teflon itself stickier. Teflon doesn't stick well because of its strong, tightly packed fluorine carbon bonds, but manufacturers can partially break these bonds. removing some fluorine atoms to activate the carbon and allow covalent bonding with metal. This can be done by bombarding the Teflon surface with ions or plasma in a vacuum under a strong electric field. Another method uses reducing agents to remove fluorine from the polymer chain. Most carcinogens work by directly interacting with DNA to cause mutations. A chemically inert substance like Teflon cannot cause direct cancer. Indirectly, some substances, like asbestos, can cause cancer through chronic inflammation. Inflammation leads to free radicals that damage DNA and promote tumor growth. However, science hasn't found any such cancer-causing mechanism involving Teflon. In other words, Teflon is not a carcinogen. Many people worry that small flakes of Teflon peeling off during cooking might harm the body. But as mentioned, Teflon is so inert that the digestive system can't break it down. Most particles are too large to be absorbed through the intestines into the bloodstream, and will simply pass through the body, shape, color, and all. Still, even though it doesn't cause cancer, non-stick pans can be harmful if misused. PFOA starts to degrade at temperatures above 160 Celsius and rapidly breaks down above 400 C. Household ovens typically max out around 150 C, so technically, Teflon is safe even in oven use. However, if you're someone who turns on the stove, forgets the pan, and walks away, things get dangerous. At 160 C, PFOA begins to release toxic gases like TFE and CF, deadly to birds and can cause flu-like symptoms in humans, known as polymer fume fever, which usually resolves within 1 to 2 days. Also worth noting, while finished Teflon products are safe, the production process historically was not. Before 2012, DuPont used PFOA, also known as C8, to produce Teflon. C8 is a highly persistent and carcinogenic chemical that doesn't break down easily in nature or the human body, hence the nickname the forever chemical. Despite knowing its dangers, DuPont dumped C8 into the environment, polluting water supplies and harming communities near their plant in Parkersburg, West Virginia. After a 4-year legal battle, DuPont lost the lawsuit and paid over $300 million in fines. Since 2012, C8 has been replaced by a similar chemical called Jenks. Although Jenks was designed to be less persistent, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency EPA says it may actually be more toxic than C8. Over 180 countries have agreed to ban the production and use of PFOA, with some exceptions. If you're still uneasy about Teflon-coated pans, here's a tip from HeckyFish. Try using cast iron or carbon steel pan seasoned with oil. If you pour a little oil into an uncoated pan and heat it slowly until it smokes lightly, the fatty acid molecules will link together into long chains, forming a hard, smooth, water-repellent polymer layer, similar to Teflon. That's essentially what happens when you fry with oil or fat. It creates a natural non-stick layer. In conclusion, Teflon non-stick pans are safe if used correctly. Leaving them unattended on the stove can release toxic fumes that affect health. But saying that non-stick pans or Teflon cause cancer is simply false, a complete misunderstanding. If you agree with this video or want to add anything, please leave a comment below. As usual, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the HeckyFish channel, and hit the bell to stay updated with our latest videos.